This is my last lecture for this class. We're going to tackle chapter 15 today, but let me reiterate what I want you to do as far as the counseling sessions are concerned. I'm showing you the assessment, how I'm going to grade you, how your final grade is going to be calculated. There aren't 15 quizzes. Actually, there's only 14 quizzes, so that's only 140 points. You need to you need to create a character, and this is your fictional biography. I'm going to give you 50 points for that, well, pretty much no matter what it looks like. You need to come up with a character with a problem. The problem can't have anything to do with a problem that you have or have ever had. The problem is if you were depressed, or you were an alcoholic, or you were a drug addict, or you had anxiety attacks in the past, and now that you're recovered, you decided to become a counselor. If you if you choose one of those problems that you've had in the past, then potentially what will happen is you will relapse because you will go back to the mindset that you have that problem again, and which all those chemicals, all those connections that created the depression, that created the alcoholism, that created the anxiety attacks, those mechanisms are still there. What you've done is you've blocked them, and so if you choose a problem that you've had in the past, then what will happen is that those connections might reconnect. That block that you have created that has made you not depressed or defeated your alcoholism or your drug addiction or your anxiety attacks. The block that you have created might break down, and then you will relapse, and then you'll become depressed, or you'll start drinking again, or you'll become depressed. Well, I already said depressed. Start having anxiety attacks. That's why you need to pick something else. Okay, so you need to create a character, and the character has to have a problem. And then you just put it on the fictional biography. It's on the assignments page. Um, it's IW something. I just sent you a copy of it. So that's what you need to do. I think I have 7 now. Started out with 21. I'm not sure how many of you there are, but I only have about a third of the class, and everybody needs to do this in order to pass the class. Now, why am I saying that? Well, one of the reasons I'm saying that is because the quizzes account for only 140 points. Your counseling, no, it's not right. Your discussion questions are worth 100 points. That's 240 points. If you do your fictional biography, you get 50 points. Your library paper is about the problem that your character has. So you can't write your paper unless you have a person with a problem. So there you go. That's 150 points. Your counseling session are worth 100 points as well. That's 250 points. So half of your grade has to do with these mock counseling sessions. So you need to do this in order to pass the class. In order to pass the class, you need to do these mock counseling sessions. Okay, um, so what is in the fictional biography? Wait a second, I have it down here somewhere. I was just there a second ago before the class started. There we go. Each student will develop a character to use when other students are counseling them. This character will have a diagnosable problem. However, the student must not select a problem that they actually have or have ever had. This could potentially cause a relapse, as I said. The student should also stay away from problems that they are close to. They aren't depressed, but your older sister has been under psychiatric care for depression since high school. They aren't drunk, but Uncle Benny who lives with his family, who lives with their family, is a barely functioning alcoholic. Humans are natural mimics, and sometimes they will internalize the pathology around them. This is something that you need to be aware of. If you have somebody in your life who has a mental illness, potentially you will start mimicking them. And which means that if you ever get in a situation where you need a a coping technique, you may turn to whatever the coping technique is that your mentally ill person has. So you need to be really careful about that. Stay away from anything that's close to you. The student will create this character and fill out a patient history form and send it to me. As soon as I receive your history form, I will create a discussion thread with your character's fake name. When the students counsel a client online by email, Zoom, Skype, Duo, or Facebook, they will put their counseling notes on the patient's thread, and that is how I will grade you. Now, I'm not really grading you by you have to have this information. I'm grading you by whether you actually did it. Some counselors are the most god awful note takers in the world, and their counseling notes are really poor. Um, they are great counselors, and the fact that they are the ones that are going to continue to counsel this individual means that their notes don't really mean a whole lot. So the fact that your notes are comprehensive is not important. That's not important at all. I just need to know that you did the counseling session. Okay. Also, if somebody else counsels that individual, they need to know in general what information you were able to get from that client. This is the way it works. This is the way it works in the real world. If you're doing a counseling session with somebody, when they're brand new, the first thing you'll do is you'll read their history, what history you have. You'll read all the information that you have, and you'll start your first counseling session. And half the time, you'll throw the history out. You'll throw the history out because that's not really the problem they have. Usually, they try to look better on paper than they can't hide it when they come in to talk to you. So that's just one way to look at it. So you need to do this in order to pass the class. I've been thinking about this. You know, I wasn't the one that put this program together. I taught some of the first classes, but I'm not the one that created it. And I'm thinking, does everybody really need to take introduction to counseling? If you're not planning on being a counselor, you just want your psychology degree. Do you really need to do this class? And I will present that to the other psychology instructors. There's four of us, and see what they say. I go back and forth. This is a good class to have. Some people are good counselors and they don't know it until they start counseling, and then they go, "Yeah, I'm really good at this. This is fun. This is what I want to do." That aspect of it, everybody gives it a try, but I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about whether this is a needs to be a required course in the future. Okay, anyway. Okay, let's talk about the whole psychology program. Let's go ahead and start on chapter 15. This is chapter 15. Boom! That was the idea of that one anyway. There's no sound, except my voice, of course. Chapter 15, evaluating and ending professional relationships. Okay, this is how you get rid of your clients. Sometimes they're fixed, sometimes they're not. Sometimes whatever problem they came in with you've taken care of it, but then you've uncovered other problems that they potentially have. Evaluating progress, it needs to be continuous throughout the counseling process. This is the way I do all my classes. How did I do this semester? I'm struggling a little bit this semester, and this is a confession on my part. I'm struggling a little bit because I'm teaching 7 classes, and I have 3 brand new classes that I've never two classes that I've never taught before, and one class that I taught like 5 or 6 years ago that we have just implemented. I've been distracted, and I apologize if I haven't spent enough time with you guys or answered your discussions very well. I've got a lot of work to do. I've got over 100 students, and I know sounds like it's so so wimpy, but the reality is I've got a lot to do. It's been a really tough semester, and that on top of a really tough summer session because I was teaching 20 hours this summer. I'm teaching 23 hours right now, so that's a lot. It really is a lot, and like I said, two of them are brand new classes, and so every week I have to create at least two PowerPoints for the next week, to stay a week ahead. Anyway, it's getting to me. I'm getting a little a little stressed out here, and we're only halfway through the semester. Well, midterms just finished. Okay. Anyway, so it needs to be continuous throughout the counseling process, and that was me evaluating how I'm doing this semester. I haven't spent enough time with you guys. I haven't spent enough time with the 497 class. I've been trying to create new lectures every week for every class. But it's been a struggle because sometimes these chapters are just a mess. The other problem, and I know. Why am I complaining to you guys? Maybe you should all counsel me. The other problem is that there were no resource. Usually, when you start a new class and you have a new textbook, they give you resource material, and part of that is a general PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint in this case would be evaluating progress, and it would only have the first lines, and then you fill in the rest. It's not that big a deal, but at least it gives you a general idea of what you're looking at. But neither of these textbooks had any resource materials, no questions, and just there was nothing. There was nothing for either one. So, geez, it's been a real struggle, and it's going to get worse anyway. Uh, my cinema therapy class I've created out of two textbooks, but the last 3 weeks, I'm going to deal with gaming addiction, and I don't have a textbook for that, so I'm going to have to find all this material online. It's going to be a blast. Anyway, okay, so you need to continuously evaluate what's going on. Every counseling session, you need to say, did we take a step forward? Did we take 2 steps backwards? Did we take 2 steps forward? Did we not regress at all? How are we doing? And of course, I do the same thing with my class, especially at the end of the semester. I try to decide whether we need to change it. And you heard me do that earlier. I was talking about Psych 291 and whether this needs to be a required class. That's me evaluating not only the class but also the program. Does everybody need to take it? Well, if you're not planning on being a counselor and you have no interest in counseling, why in the world would you have to take Psych 291? And like I said, I'll discuss this with the other psychology instructors and see what they think. I'm guessing that nothing will change, but a lot of people they don't want to even think about changing anything or improving anything. They want everything to stay the same because they have all this information and they don't want to have to change it. Anyway, okay, so you need to continuously evaluate your progress. Before the first meeting, the practitioner should evaluate whether additional information is needed. Information about the client, evaluating what level of expertise that will be needed for this client. During exploration stage, practitioners evaluate if they have necessary information about resources that they need. Do they have expertise to work with the special needs of the client? And of course, this is something that we all worry about. Do I have the knowledge to teach this class? Do I have the knowledge? Do I have all the expertise? What if they need behavior modification? I'm not trained to do behavior modification. Um, I'm a Rogerian. How in the world can I do cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT? All the other things that we think about, that we worry about when we're doing something. Okay, that helped. The practitioner needs to perform ongoing evaluation after each session is done to identify how well the clients think that they are being heard and to determine the strength of the relationship. And this is something that always needs to be done. During the exploration phase, the practitioner evaluates whether they fully understand the problem, the situation, and issues of the client. During the goal setting phase, practitioners monitor the quality of the alliance and baseline assessment of actions. During the action phase, practitioner and client develop a plan for goal achievement that is a blueprint to evaluate progress. And normally you're going to have to redo this almost every counseling session. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times you set a goal and it's this nebulous idea that we need to improve. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to improve by doing this, this, and this. And then the next time they come in and they've thought about this, they go, "That's too much. I need to take smaller steps." And so every time they come in, they're going to go, I really couldn't get that much done. I need to take smaller steps. So reevaluating is really, really important as far as counseling is concerned. If you set the goals too high, they're just going to fail. And of course, one of the reasons they are coming in to see you is because they feel that they need to change something. They feel that they potentially have failed in something. So giving them tasks to perform that are too great, it's going to be a real deficit as far as they're concerned. And you may be just kicking them backwards instead of helping them move forward. So one of the things that you need to do is continually reevaluate these things. With your experience, you know that you can't, and I just have to talk about this. I've been thinking about this a lot. Look at this lady's shoes. Look at those pizza toes. Oh my goodness gracious! How can you wear shoes like that? They're probably high heels too, and so she's her the tilt of the heel is jamming her toes down into that thing. Why do we torture ourselves like this? That's horrible. I wear shoes that are shaped just like my foot, and I have a foot that's shaped like a duck's foot. Anyway, okay. So because you have expertise, you know that you need to create goals that are achievable, and that is really the hardest part because you have to know your client enough to know how great, how large to make the goals, how extensive. Baby steps, sure, but they're not going to want to start with baby steps. After each meeting, the practitioner should consider whether the work is leading to the achievement of the identified goals. If the skills being used aren't helpful, the practitioner needs to adjust the technique. And of course, that is something that has to happen. And as an instructor, I do exactly the same thing after every class. After going through the PowerPoints, looking at the discussion questions, even grading the discussion questions, sometimes I'll tell myself, that's a horrible discussion question. You need something that is a little bit more comprehensive. So this is something that you need to do. You need to be continually evaluating what's going on. And the reality is that students don't stay the same. I've been teaching for 30 years, and I can tell you that when I first started teaching, the students reacted differently to the information that I gave them. Actually, back then there were no PowerPoints didn't exist. Actually, when I started teaching, computers or the internet didn't exist. I started teaching in '91, and the internet wasn't really invented. Well, actually, the internet existed for the military, but it didn't exist for everybody else. But when it didn't, yeah, the internet wasn't invented until '93. So, I mean, everything has changed. Everybody used to take notes, and I used to present my lectures by notes. Of course, none of that would work now. If COVID had hit in '91, I'm not sure what they would have done for education. They would have had to have shut the whole system down for a couple of years. If progress is being made, it is important to highlight successes and focus on improvement. Evaluation should emphasize progress to be supportive of the client and gratifying for the practitioner. Now, the gratifying for the practitioner part is not as important as being supportive of the client. The client is the idea here, not you maintaining your ego. So let's just strike that last one out, gratifying for the practitioner. It should be something that you can deal with, and that's why I think that's really what they're referring to as far as gratifying for the practitioner. It needs to be something that you can deal with. So if it goes beyond you or it's something that you would never do, then you're going to have trouble with it. Demonstrating progress through evaluations demonstrates success. Success enhances self-esteem by showing the client that they can succeed. As self-efficacy increases, so does the client's sense of empowerment. One of the things that you're going to run into, especially if you're dealing with adolescents or you're dealing with pre-adolescents, even young adults, one of the things that they've been doing all their lives is they have been controlling their lives through passive aggressive behavior. What does that mean? That means they pretend to try to do something and then they fail. They fail so that they can say, look, I can't do this. I'm a failure. You shouldn't have told me to do this. It's your fault. They can blame somebody else. This is passive aggressive behavior. It's very common. It's very common on the internet. On social media because people are blaming, so let's blame the economy. It must be that old man Joe Biden's fault. You look at the fact that he hasn't done anything to keep the recession from happening. For gas prices. Why hasn't he controlled gas prices? And the answer is because it is not the president's job. The president can't control gas prices. That comes from production. That comes from the prices being charged by oil companies and whatnot. So am I defending Joe Biden? That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is passive aggressive behavior. And you need to understand that this is passive aggressive behavior. He's trying to tell him what to do, and this guy right here is going, I can't do that. Okay. And he's going to insist that he does it, and he's going to go ahead and pretend that he's trying to do it. But the last thing on his mind, or the last thing that's going to happen, is that he's going to succeed. And of course, when you're dealing with somebody who's passive aggressive like that, all you can do is keep giving them positive things to do, and eventually they're actually going to succeed. And from that, they may realize, my life is going to be just one constant failure if I don't snap to and get this done. That's usually them growing up. That's what that has to do with. I hope you're not dealing with teenagers. My 10-year-old is starting to go through puberty, so it's only going to get worse from here on out. For a couple different reasons that I won't explain to you. But my daughter is one of those overachievers, so she's pushing her son to be an overachiever as well. One of the most important times for evaluation occurs during the ending process. What was the most helpful? What did not work well? What was learned? What are additional areas for growth? Scaling questions are an excellent tool to use for evaluating progress. They can be used in your final evaluation with the client. If the scores are lower, the practitioner might discuss additional work that the client needs to do to accelerate their progress. And like I said, sometimes it's just passive aggressive behavior. I have dealt with people that it was a failure over and over and over and over again. I could not do anything correctly. I was the dumbest person in the whole wide world. And it's because they were treating me like they treated their parents. It was their passive aggressive behavior. And so what we needed to do was get beyond the passive aggressive behavior. And what their parents did, of course, they just kept throwing things at them. And pretty soon, how do you defeat passive aggressive behavior? Well, one thing that you can do, especially with an adult, is tell them, "Hey, look, you're being passive aggressive. And this is what passive aggressive behavior is." So if you can explain it to them, if you can show them what they are doing, and then say, maybe some of your failures in the past have been because of this. You have this desire not to succeed, and the reason you don't want to succeed is because you don't want your parents to be correct. This is you being passive aggressive. This is a childlike response to parental authority, but you don't have parental authority anymore. You're just doing this to yourself, and you are projecting your parents on me, and that's why we are being so unsuccessful. Now, sometimes this will kick in, and they'll go, you're right. Geez, I guess I need to. I guess I need to change. And of course, you need to explain that to them. You're an adult now. Why in the world are you acting like a kid? And sometimes you can convince people who are drinkers that you're acting like you're a high school senior. Like you're getting away with something. You're not getting away with anything. This is adolescent behavior. Why in the world are you still doing adolescent behavior? Why are you projecting yourself back to the time when you were fairly non-functional? Why don't you? I mean, you're an adult. You should be more functional than this. I know I just put it bluntly, and that's not the way you would say it to your client. But the reality, that's the gist of what we're dealing with. Passive aggressive behavior is actually it's pre-adolescent behavior. So ending evaluation, let's review our goal attainment continuum again to see if you believe you've reached the expected outcome. When we began working on reviewing the agency's policies on providing services to elderly clients, we identified several goals. In our next meeting, let's review what we have accomplished in relation to each goal. As you know, our final meeting will be 3 weeks from today, reminding the client of when the relationship will end. Before our next meeting, will you think about what has been most helpful to you? Early on this project, we established clear goals. I think we should talk together about whether these goals have been achieved and decide if further work is necessary. Is that okay with you? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being completely satisfied with where you are in relation to this goal that we set, what number would you give yourself? I remember that when we started working together, you told me that folks in the family yelled at each other at almost every meal. You have come to a long way since then. Let's spend a few minutes reviewing what you have accomplished since we began working together. Good practitioners are continually involved in evaluation of their work, and this is what I've been talking about practically all morning. Practitioners may elicit feedback about things they said or did that were helpful or those that were not. Clients can be invited following ending of services to complete a written form on their satisfaction. Evaluations can be reviewed face-to-face or not. Receiving this evaluation information gives the practitioner information for helping future clients. Professional relationships end for a number of reasons: managed care, insurance, lack of funds, achievement of goals, lack of satisfaction with progress. When clients leave unexpectedly, it is good to follow up. Ask clients about their decision to leave whenever possible. The practitioner should indicate to the client that the meetings are ending. The client and practitioner may decide to have less frequent meetings before the final ending. The client and practitioner need to summarize such things as what has been most important, what changes have been made, what was most difficult. Reviewing and remembering both the good and the difficult times in the process is important. In the ending process for a professional relationship, the practitioner and client identify what tasks remain to be completed after the relationship has ended. In the ending process for a professional relationship, the practitioner tells the client that they can return for future meetings if needed. In the ending process for a professional relationship, the practitioner invites feedback about the entirety of their work together. I'm not sure what that has, that picture. That's the Grand Canyon, I believe. At the end of a professional relationship, the practitioner asks the client if there are any final questions. Saying goodbye. Feelings about ending. In a long-term relationship, the client and practitioner need to allow time to talk about their feelings. Some clients feel a sense of loss, sadness, fear, and/or anger. Clients may feel happy about their achievements and ready to move on. Positive reactions and pride in their work is as common as sadness or anger. Feelings about ending: if the client has limited supportive relationships or is hesitant about their ability to continue on their own, they may express more painful feelings. Ending with groups can bring similar feelings. Practitioners may also experience emotions. As appropriate, practitioners can share their feelings. I'm going to miss seeing you and hearing about your progress. I'm happy that you have achieved your goals. I'm going to miss our time together. I feel sad when I think about not seeing you, but I am glad that you are satisfied with the progress that we have made. This will be the last time that I see you. I am glad to have been a part of your journey as you figured out the best way to help your aging father. I hope the nursing home works out well for your father. I am glad that in our work together you were able to mend your relationship with your brother. I hope that over time you will become close friends and support each other. I can see that you are really excited about the opportunities that your new job is going to provide for you. I am so glad that you achieved your goal of getting a new job that offers you new opportunities. Ending with task groups and larger groups involves the same process as ending with a single client relationship. It is important to talk about when work will be completed. Work with the group to develop a thorough summary of what has been accomplished in order to stabilize future changes. Ending with task groups, make plans for sustaining and building on the group's accomplishments. Develop a system for evaluating the work accomplished and getting and giving feedback. This should all be in place. Celebrating successes should be included. Since next week will be our last meeting together, I think we should make a plan for how we will celebrate everything that you have accomplished. I have enjoyed working with each of you and will miss seeing you. I am confident that you folks will continue to use the parenting methods you learned in this group. Identifying career-long processes. Professionals should participate in self-evaluation and evaluation of clients by getting feedback from peers and supervisors. Practitioners pursue ongoing professional development through participating in personal counseling, reflecting on your own values and ethics in your work with diverse clients, Participating in lifelong learning to keep abreast of new ideas and resources. Create a career development plan that might include practice skills and knowledge related to different types of client challenges, different cultural groups, different size systems, professional journals, continuing education, deciding whether to specialize or not, staying current with evidence-based practice. In other words, reading journals. Keeping current with research is expected, of course. I'm just sick of goodbyes. And that is it. So you guys need to start counseling next week. You need to get your character histories in so I can get them up so that you can see which students have characters that they can counsel. So my idea is that you trade counseling sessions. That's how I set this thing up. It doesn't mean you have to do it that way. It really doesn't matter to me. Just get your 10 sessions in with different. It doesn't have to be with different clients. You can counsel the same client. I wouldn't do it all for all 10 sessions, but yeah, you need to. Let's see. There we go. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't do all 10 sessions with one client. That will get a little old. That's a lot of time. 30 to 45 minutes per counseling session. Don't forget to put your counseling notes on the thread for that client, not under your own name, under their name. Okay. There you go. If anybody has any questions, you can give me a call. I have office hours from Monday through Thursday. Monday and Tuesday are 3 to 5. Yeah, 3 to 5. And then Wednesday and Thursday are in the morning, 8 to 10. If you need to talk to me and you can't meet at those times, then please, we can arrange a time for me to turn on the Zoom. It's always the same number. I've been using the same number for a couple semesters now. I know I'm probably not supposed to do that, but hey, it's worked up to this point. There we go. She's still talking about saying goodbye. Okay, well, I had a good semester. It's been a tough one. If anybody has any comments, you want to tell me how bad I've done or how good I've done, well, don't tell me how good I've done. I don't need you guys to tell me how good I've done. But if you had any problems with this this year, this semester, you can tell me that, and that's part of my evaluation process. I'll think of ways that I can improve. Okay. So you're free for the rest of the semester to do counseling sessions. As soon as you finish your paper, your quizzes, and your discussions, then just counseling sessions left after that. There you go. Okay, talk to you later.